Alright, so we are back into another Dragon Ball Super card game Vegeta, and this one, I wanted to go over 10 different ruling / QA updates that you should know as of May 2019, and I think what I'm going to be doing is after every set release, this includes the next anniversary box, set 7, the draft box, etc. I'll probably go ahead and make a video just so we can get some awareness and exposure on these updates and etc. Some of these are going to be new updates, and as well as a few things that I believe everybody should have or should know. I did a couple videos before going through QA updates before, but I want to make these regular. I want to make sure that I don't miss them either. Before then, go ahead and subscribe if you're new. Like, dislike, all that other jazz. Turn on notifications. Stop clicking on that featured thing. Don't go to the homepage and click it. Just go ahead and just do it from the notifications, man. Anyway, look at this. This is the actual DBS card game website. So if you go to the rule and then scroll all the way down, you have a lot of different things as far as the rule manual, the play sheet, plate manual, all this other stuff, even for draft, even for tournament regulations and stuff like that. So I would highly recommend and highly encourage to actually go here for any kind of ruling like mishaps or questions or things like that. I think you would probably find everything there. And for this video, I'm going to be using the official rule manual, especially since it's new and updated. I'll kind of show a few things from there, and then of course the QA for game and as well as card. One thing to note from the actual manual is that I'll actually have some updates, not only for the version but for the last update at the top left. Today is the 21st, depending on when I'm going to be releasing this. It just depends, but they did go ahead and update it today, so that's pretty cool. And then if you look all the way to the bottom, they have all of the updates at the bottom and what they added and what they clarified, etc, etc. And then everything in the red, as you can see, for the new multicolored cards and more. There are, those are going to be all of the new updates if you ever take a look at the rulebook. Now that's the only time I'm probably going to be go ahead and showing this, but let's get to the first one, and that is going to be the change to Revenge. Yes, that is the King Vegeta surprise attack. If we take a look here for the Q&A, the question is if this card gains Revenge during your defense step, does the card gain Revenge KO the battle card attacking it? And it says no, it doesn't. And the reason for that is because the Revenge is an auto keyword that describes the skill activates when this card becomes a guard card, which I didn't know that even existed, KOing the attack card at the end of the battle. So it doesn't activate, or it won't activate, and even if the card gains Revenge during your defensive step. So what it's saying is that Revenge works as in you attack and becomes a quote-unquote guard card, you gain Revenge and as well as the 10k, which if we take a look at the card here, but it won't actually KO the card from the defense step because of the way that it's worded and the way that it's ruled and clarified now. And if you look on the card, it has to be KO'd after the end of the battle. So, or it's going to be KO'd at the end of the battle. Taking a look here again, and when you choose one of your battle cards, it gains 10k in Revenge. When it's attacked, again, KO the card after the battle for the racing turn, right? But because of the way that guard cards, quote unquote, are ruled, it has to be when it's attacking. Now, if you look at the actual rule book or the rule manual, whatever you want to call it, the 10.9 or 10.9.1 is the change and update in which Revenge is an auto keyword, and the skill activates and becomes a card, KOing after the attack at the end of the battle, or the attack card anyway. So it doesn't work. It's dumb. I know it. Like Androids and as well as Cell Chain already had a ton of hurtness already, but you know, we're gonna see it. It's gonna come out probably a day or two from now, depending on when you watch this and depending on when I post this. We're gonna see all the anniversary stuff, and I can almost guarantee, maybe not guarantee, but I have a gut feeling that not only Cell Chain is going to have an update and as well as a card that is going to replace Cell Chain, but also that Revenge and as well as the Cell / Android stuff is going to have a big boost, or at least something to support it, to support this reasoning, and as well as Cell Chain being banned, because honestly it just looks like a hate crime at this point. Now, Cold Bloodlust. This is an interesting one, and it always will be an interesting one as we have more and more cards, battle cards, extra cards that play battle cards, etc. come into the game. And this is the question. So when can I activate a counterplay skill against an opponent's battle card, or skill that puts a battle card in play? So opponent's skill that puts the battle card in play, there's two different timing. So it says it can be played before or after the opponent resolves the skill when they play the battle card in play. So when you activate Cold Blow Less after your opponent resolves a skill and puts their battle card into play, the battle cards when you play this cards will still activate. And if you want to prevent when you play their cards from activating, you must play Cold Blow Less after your opponents activate the skill, their skill that puts the battle card into play before it resolves. This kind of works for just announcing that you're going to be playing a card. All right, so for At All Costs Vegeta, that is a really good example. Let's say you're playing it with World Peace. If you're playing World Peace and you announce that you pay the 4 energy, and you're saying you're playing World Peace and playing something from the drop area, and you're going to be choosing this card, you don't have to say it, but the timing for this is that it's a blind timing. So as soon as they say World Peace and I'm paying for it, you have that chance to Cold Blow Less. So if you choose not to, the auto will go off, and you choose the second window in which the activate main will be blanked out, basically. So the auto will go off, and you won't be able to use the card afterwards. But if you do it as a blind, they can then choose any card from their drop area to play. It doesn't have to be this one, or they can still play it, and then the on play effect and as well as activate main will be blanked out and you can't play it. That's pretty much how it works. All these other ones like the Cold Blow Less and Evolve, etc., can be before or after they resolve it. When you opponent activates and pays the cost for Evolve, it can be activated before they place the card or after. You just got to understand what the on-play effects are and what it means. This also you also have to be careful with deflect, because it does get around counterplay cards. If you play the Cold Blow Less and they play a deflect card right after, and you announce that you're playing it, it's going to be null and void. You just pay that energy for the Cold Blow Less and nothing happens. You can always look up in the rule book or rule manual a little more information about counterplay and when it's played or after it's played. All right, number 3, this is going to be kind of a random one, but because we're going into multicolored cards and as well as more support for like Goku Black and etc., I like to mention it. So the Mountain of Fire West Supreme Kai, in which it acts as a blue energy or any energy to be played with, you can actually pay it. The last one here, in which if this card is in the battle area, can you switch to rest mode to pay a colorless 1 energy or a blue energy skill for Union Fusion? You can't, because this card can't be used to pay skill costs, and this really applies to everything out there. So as we go into more beer support, there's just a card reveal for that for ramp, more Goku Black support, etc. And we want to play this card, or if you want to play that card to ramp up a little bit more, just remember that these can't be paid. Number 4, triple attack, and as well as dual attack. I guess they're pretty much the same. There's a few different things that you kind of have to understand and realize, but the main thing is this one, in which a card with dual attack attacks activates dual attack and in the battle will switch to active mode. Afterwards, it gains triple attack from another skill. If that card attacks again during the same turn, does its triple attack activated in the battle? So yes, it does. In this case, the card can attack a total of 4 times that turn. So if you have something like High Mastery and the Shenron Leader that gives it a triple attack, you can swing once, and then after you do that, you can give it triple attack, give it a new instance, and then now it has 3 more attacks after that. It is kind of silly, because if you look previously before that, it says a card with triple attack has its oh wait, not this one. If a card with triple attack gains dual attack, is it able to attack 4 times? No, it can't, because it can't stack. So I always thought that was kind of silly, because obviously you can't stack. You can't really do that. But if it restands afterwards, you can go ahead and do that. So just one thing to kind of watch out for. Number 5, tokens. So I think one thing that a lot of people kind of get mixed up, and again, this is old as dirt as far as the card game goes, but I wanted to go over it and make sure that, again, with the support coming from Goku Black and as well as others, we actually know about it. So a few things as far as the token cards go. They are placed in the battle area. They are considered as battle cards. They can combo if they have a combo cost. But the biggest thing is that they do not have an energy cost. One thing to kind of consider is that since they do not have an energy cost, anything that specifies that they do have an energy cost is null and void. So if we look at this handy dandy graphic, and as well as Kale. So on the yes side, as in does it actually remove a token? Kale does, because if it says that a total cost that adds up to 5 or less and KO them. Because it is 5 or less, 0 is 5 or less, as in has no cost. Because it has no cost and it is less than 5, you can go ahead and KO them. It's the same thing with Awakening Rage Son Goku, in which it says 6 or less, adds up to 6 or less and KO them. But another card that's old as dirt, when you play this card, the Full Power Vegeta, when you play this card, choose any of the number of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost 2 or less. So that part in itself is null and void. So because it has, you have to choose a 2 or less, you can't choose it because it doesn't have a cost. Same thing for Family Kamehameha, you choose one battle card with 2 or less and KO that card. Since you're choosing the energy cost, you can't do it. Something a little bit more updated, the 4-drop Broly, in which it says choose one of the battle cards with energy cost of 3 or less, and then KO it. So looking at Kale, it says adds up to 5 or less and KO it. Because it doesn't have a cost, you can do it. Because it says energy cost of 3 or less and KO it and it specifies the cost, you can't do it. Alright, that's enough of that. Let's move on to Broly Unrealized Ambition. This is the 1-drop that you can play out a 4-drop Broly right after that, after he's been removed from the field by a skill. So one of the things that there's kind of a debate on is that if this is placed, this one, if this card is placed underneath one of the opponent's cards by opponent's skill, does this card's auto skill activate and resolve? Yes, the auto skill activates, but because your opponent is the master of the skill, your opponent resolves the skill. And when kind of referencing the master type thing, which is kind of a weird thing, but whoever is the master or the controller of the card for that auto has to decide if they want to go ahead and resolve it or not. So the master of the auto skill is the master of the card in which that skill, or the master of the effect that generated the skill. So they basically get to say if it resolves or not. By the way, a bonus one to this number 6 is that the Clan of Terror Mecha Frieza card, in which they look at your hand and you get to play something from their hand into the battle area. This actually is kind of an interesting one. If your opponent has a leader card, or this leader card, in which the Rising Broly starter deck says you can only have 2, or if there are 2 or more battle cards in your opponent area, you can't play anything else. When you use the Clan of Terror auto skill to play battle cards in your opponent's battle area, they're asking if you can do that, and yes, you can, because the skill for the permanent effect only affects the player who controls the card. So you can use skills to play battle cards from your opponent's area. So pretty much it gets around that permanent, because the person who's playing those cards from the Clan of Terror Mecha Frieza card isn't controlling that permanent. So you can play it only because of that. So if I was the Broly player and I have a permanent that says you cannot play anything, I now can get around that, or the opponent can now get around that, because the opponent doesn't have a permanent saying no one can play more than 2 battle cards in this battle area. So that's kind of how they get around that. Alright, next one, AndroidEight. So this is one that a lot of people weren't really happy about. This is kind of a buff to Kid Goku, but if anything, it's the second question here. If this card and Kid Goku in your battle area gets sent by the warp by the Master Saiyan Mysterious Warrior, in which you add up to 5 and then you warp everything to the warp, can you activate and resolve this auto skill? Basically the answer is that if the Kid Goku is sent to warp first, you can, when multiple cards move from the same area at the same time, as long as the cards do not specify an order. The card's owner is allowed to choose the order that they're moved there. So basically what happens is that the opponent plays, if you're playing Kid Goku, that is, the opponent plays the Master Saiyan, it warps out the Kid Goku, the AndroidEight, maybe another card that adds up to 5. You can choose what goes into the warp first. You can choose the Kid Goku, and then since it's removing first and the AndroidEight is still there, you then can go ahead and KO something because the AndroidEight says so. And we can see here, basically from the rule book, the 316, if multiple cards are to be placed in a certain area simultaneously, the order of those cards is decided. Okay, well, the order in which they are placed into that area is decided by the owner of those cards. So basically, whoever owns the AndroidEight or the Kid Goku can decide, and they will go ahead and do that accordingly. Alright, here's a quick one. CrusherBall, another counterplay card, kind of has the same resolves as the Cold Bloodlust, but just a little bit different. You can always check that out. But question 8, if I activate CrusherBall in response to an activation skill that mentions playing cards or multiple cards. Well, if that skill plays, but here's question 8. I activate CrusherBall in response to an activation of a skill that mentions playing cards. If that skill plays multiple cards, does only one of the cards get put into play into rest mode? No. When multiple cards are played, all of them come into rest mode when activating in response of act of cards being played, quote unquote. CrusherBall causes those cards to be played in rest mode. It does not target a single card being played. And this is why Mutaito, the new World Martial Arts card, says one card and is a counterplay card versus CrusherBall. So when you're thinking about siding in that or that, just think about this ruling as far as that goes going forward. Just a quick update on this one as far as number, what, 9 or 10? I hope this is 9. Alliance is an auto keyword or keyword skill. When a card with Alliance attacks, its owner may activate Alliance by choosing one or more battle cards in their battle area with color specific, etc., etc. So this again is an auto. So Aegis is an activate battle, which you don't really have to worry about. But the questions or the frequent questions is that if something gets negated, which goes off first, or does it still go off? Since Alliance is an auto, you treat it as such. So again, if someone plays is not all you got, you have a Broly. The opponent plays the as all you got, but then you want to activate the Alliance to switch the Gogeta in rest mode. But then their auto still goes off after the counter goes off, and then the auto goes off after, so it doesn't proc off because they're going to kill the Gogeta, etc. Right? So that's just something to kind of consider for the future. And now, lastly, is going to be the Bojack. Since he just got new support, I'm sure people are going to be playing it here and there a little bit more often. And what makes him pretty good is that since you can evolve on a 3 cost with the new multicolored for 4, the second auto in which when your opponent chooses, or when one of your opponent switches one of their cards from rest mode to active mode, you lead a card as a Bojack Brigade, your opponent chooses one card from their hand and sends it to their warp. So a lot of people are kind of wondering, or at least there has been a lot of wondering there, in which if everything untaps during that untap phase after you charge or before you charge or when your turn starts, what order does that go in, and do you draw first? And that can be answered in the rulebook because during the charge phase you can kind of see where everything goes in the game progress turn flow type thing. Basically, this is what happens when the turn flow basically starts, right, and can trigger ignitions at the beginning of the turn, and at the beginning of the charge phase occur, and then a checkpoint occurs, right? So it says players switch all their cards into their leader, battle, etc. From rest mode to active. The turn player then draws one card from their deck. The player playing first does not draw. Okay, don't really need that. And then a checkpoint occurs, and then the turn player may place one card from their hand to the energy area, and then another checkpoint occurs. So what happens is that the auto for the Bojack happens after the draw, not after they charge or before they draw, because there is a checkpoint. So the turn happens, you draw, and then now the game checks for any autos or anything like that during that time, and then it happens. And then you get to charge one from their energy area. So to answer your question, you do not draw, or you do draw first, and then you warp everything, or however many that you do need to warp. So that is a huge thing, and can make a difference in a game versus a Bojack player or as a Bojack player. So definitely watch out for that. That is the last one that I wanted to go over. Please let me know if I got anything wrong. I tried my best to reference the Q&A and as well as the rulebook. Those are the two things that most judges go for. I do want to shout out Judge Manny because he did help out a little bit for that. And please reference everything to him in our Discord. Join the Discord in the description and bother him in the questions and answers channel. But again, subscribe if you're new. Like, dislike. Let me know in the comments below what kind of rulings that everybody should know. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.